This video is for you if you just got a RB45 Centerpin or you just want to learn how they work before you get one. So here it is, fresh out of the box. We're gonna go ahead and unbox it. This is a RB45 right hand retrieve. We're gonna take it right out. There it is. As you can see, you can reel with your right hand and the clicker works in the opposite direction. We're gonna learn every feature of this reel first, and then we're gonna spool it up with some line. I got a left hand retrieve here that I just did, and then we're gonna take it out to the river and learn how to cast it. So feature number one, this is your clicker. This is used for storage purposes only. Rarely would you wanna use this on a fish. It's not a drag. It is a one direction clicker system for storage. So here it is. You turn it off just like that. Give it a spin. As we move on over to the back plate here, we're gonna understand each one of these features. First off, the center nut. This is what holds the reel together. This thing is reverse threaded. So as we take this guy off, righty is loosey. You can see that this is what holds the reel together. Something important to know about this nut, extremely important to know. It is self-tightening. So with a right hand retrieve reel, when you cast and reel, it's gonna keep itself tight on the river. If you use it the opposite direction, use a right hand reel, retrieving with your left hand, it's gonna be self-loosening, so you don't wanna do that. Next, this is a frictional brake. Tighten and loosen this guy up to apply more or less friction to the spool, just like a bait caster. We're gonna be learning more about this when we go onto the river. Next up, this is the vent. This is the knob that controls the vent for the aerodynamic brake. Loosened it up, shut the air, open the air, turned on. The next feature we're going to talk about here is the oil port right in the middle of the reel. So this is a little rubber stopper. You can actually take this guy off after a while of fishing. Maybe you're done for the year. Maybe you just think your reel needs some oil, and this will allow you to add oil to the bearings, directly to the bearings, without taking the back plate off or anything. So that's a super nice feature. When you're done with that, you're just gonna squeeze this guy right back in there, pop it in just like that. This is how everything works. This is the vent holes. This is the clicker system. It's powered by a magnet right here. This is your axial brake, friction brake. Here's the brake pad. This rubber brake pad here is the reason that you're able to fight fish with half as much effort as a normal center pin. Put that on. The spool flexes when you push your hand on it right here on the side, and it's going to push up against, this spool is going to push up against this rubber brake pad, and that's how that works. Next on the list here is the patented Aerodynamic casting brake, or air brake. Each one of these 45-degree angle blades located on the inside of the spool here is what pulls in air through the vents in that back plate when your reel is at too high RPMs to prevent backlash and maximize your casting distance. And we are going to be learning how to spool up, cast, and use this reel on the river. Let's take this out of the box, of the pouch, and here is the reel. This is a left-hand retrieve. We're gonna put this on our rod. All right, get that secure. This is just some 30-pound red fly line backing here. You can use whatever you like. This is what I like to use. So I usually just leave the clicker on and reel in. You're gonna wanna reel in anywhere from 20 yards to 40 yards of backing. It really doesn't matter. This is personal preference. We're just gonna take both of these, cinch them together, and we're just gonna reel this mono on the exact same way that we were doing to the backing. Now we're gonna take this down and actually learn how to cast this. So doing this in your yard is perfect. We're at Red Band HQ here on the river, so I'm just gonna take you right down there and we're gonna learn how to cast. Learning how to cast a RB45 Centerpin Reel is just like learning to cast a bait caster. You have high friction up first, short, smooth cast, and then you slowly let off and extend your distance. So there's one very important difference. With the Centerpin, you need to let off with your hand and let the reel start to spin. You want the reel to spin on the backswing. So you're gonna start it right here and you're gonna let off with your hand. The lure is gonna start to drop and then you're gonna cast. So that's the one key difference that you need to remember. You're not going to hold your hand on it, cast, and then let go at the end of the cast. The first thing that I have people do when I'm teaching them how to cast a centerpin reel is just to put on like maybe 3/8 ounce. This is just a bobber and a couple 1/8 ounce egg weights. And in your yard or wherever, make sure that with your hand still on the reel, without actually letting go to cast, make sure that you can go back and forth completely smoothly without any sudden jerks. So like, this is what you don't want to do. Any sudden movements like that are going to cause backlash. So as soon as you're able to go like right here in a smooth, even pressure circle, that's when you're ready to actually learn how to cast it. The next step is to set your spool tensioner knob all the way tight so that your setup doesn't fall at all. Then let off to the point where it starts to fall with a slight shake in the rod. So a little tighter than this, it holds it, but with a slight shake in the rod, it can rotate. So that's about perfect. Now we're gonna take that out there and actually cast. Okay, now we got this tension knob set to the point where it holds the weight and just starts to drop it with the shake. We're able to actually cast here. So the first thing that someone needs to understand when casting a centerpin is that this spool needs to start rotating before the actual release out onto the river. So unlike a bait caster where you keep your hand on it and let go right at the end of the cast, with a centerpin, the spool needs to start rotating somewhere back here. So the heavier the setup is, the closer towards the end of the cast that you can actually let go. The lighter it is, the more it needs to spin before you actually cast. So with something like this is 3/8 of an ounce. You can let go with your hand and let this thing start to rotate around halfway. So like right around this point right here. So you'll start, let go, and just completely let go on the cast. So now that we go to cast, we're gonna do the exact same motion that we did earlier, right here, but we're just gonna let go at the back. So here we go. Just like that. A nice short cast, just about 20 yards. Go ahead and reel that in. And I'm barely even touching this reel with my hand. Let's do that one more time, but just a little bit farther. Go back, let go right here. That time a bit farther. That was around 35 yards. And you'll just work your way out with more and more distance every time. If you're just starting out and you're backlashing your reel, I promise that's a normal part of learning. I mean, anytime that you learn how to do something, you're not gonna be as good at first, but I promise you, as soon as you figure it out, it's like riding a bike and it'll be super easy. Go back, let off some line, just like that. That was no effort, and you know, that's probably 20 yards. So you can go backhand and just get a little, let off some line and get that guy out there. That was probably 35, 40 yards. And again, it's 0.5 times, so it's hard to notice, but you should have no problem learning this. The key is just being extremely smooth with it. You don't want to have any jerky motions. You don't want your line to snap at all. You just want to be smooth. You just want to go back, let off line, go forward. Go back, let off line, and go forward, just like that. And you should have no problem learning how to master the centerpin game. Setting your friction to the current of the river can be super helpful, and getting that happy medium between frictionless perfect drift and still an easy cast. And that's why that friction brake is so nice. You've reached the end of this RB45 Centerpin tutorial, and if you like this video, please hit that like button, subscribe for some more content like this, and share it with a friend. We want to get this out there to as many people as possible. So we make this content for you guys, so let us know in the comments what you want to see next.